All right, let's get into it. Today we're throwing two absolute titans of tech into the ring, Redis versus Memcached. Look, if you've ever been stuck wondering which caching tool is the right one for your app, well, you've come to the right place. We are going to break it all down. So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll talk about why we even need to cache in the first place. You know, the need for speed. Then we'll introduce our two contenders. After that, it's the main event, the head-to-head comparison. We'll also dive into some advanced features, look at some nasty pitfalls you really want to avoid, and then wrap it all up with how to make the right call for your project. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Why does any of this caching stuff even matter? Well, the answer is pretty simple, right? Modern apps are just unbelievably hungry for data, and users, they expect everything to be instant, like now. Think about it. Every single time a user does something, clicks a button, loads a page, your app probably has to run off and grab data from a database. And that trip, fetching from a slower disk-based database, that's almost always the biggest performance killer. Now, imagine that happening thousands of times every second. Yeah, your application is going to slow to an absolute crawl. And that's exactly where in-memory caching saves the day. It's a pretty brilliant strategy, really. We just keep a copy of the data people ask for all the time in super fast RAM. This means we can shoot back answers in like sub-millisecond timeframes without ever having to bother that slow old database. It is an absolute game changer for performance. Which of course brings us to our two main fighters in the in-memory caching arena. You can really think of this as the seasoned veteran going up against the new, versatile challenger. First up, in the blue corner, we have Memcached. This thing has been around since 2003, practically ancient in tech years. It's the original high-speed specialist. Its whole philosophy is about doing one thing and doing that one thing exceptionally well, providing simple, distributed caching with just raw, multi-threaded speed. And in the red corner, we've got Redis. Born in 2009, this one is famously called the Swiss Army knife of in-memory stores, and for good reason. It's way more than just a cache. It's a full-on data structure server, a message broker, and even a database, all packed into one powerful tool. All right, intros are done. Now it's time for the main event, the head-to-head battle. We're going to break this down into three crucial rounds: architecture, data handling, and durability. Let's get to it. Okay, round one, architecture. This is a fundamental difference between them. Memcached is a true multi-threaded beast. It's built to use multiple CPU cores to just chew through tons of requests all at once. Redis, on the other hand, is famous for its single-threaded model when it comes to actually executing commands. This is smart because it avoids a lot of locking headaches. But, and this is a big but, since version 6, Redis got a major upgrade with threaded I/O. So it now uses other threads for network stuff, which gives it a huge performance boost. Now, don't just take my word for it. Look at the numbers. This benchmark from D-Zone tells a really interesting story. For a simple, read-heavy job, you can see Memcache's multi-threaded design gives it a slight edge. We're talking 1.2 million operations per second versus Redis's 1 million. And that P99 latency, it's a tiny bit lower for Memcached. This shows that for pure, high-speed, no-frills caching, Memcached can still really fly. All right, on to round two, data handling. And folks, this is where these two really go their separate ways. Memcached is super straightforward. It's a simple key-value store. You give it a string key, you get a string value back. The end. Redis, though, Redis is a data structure server, and that is a whole different ballgame. And this is what we mean by the Swiss Army knife. Redis doesn't just store strings. It has native support for all these complex data structures. You've got hashes, perfect for storing entire objects. You've got lists, which you can use to build queues. You've got sorted sets, which are amazing for things like real-time leaderboards in a game. Being able to do all this complex work right on the server without pulling data back to your app first, it's incredibly powerful and super efficient. And for our final round, let's talk about durability. This is a big one. Memcached is what we call volatile by design. That means if the server restarts, poof, all your data's gone, which for a pure cache is usually fine. Redis, on the other hand, comes with built-in persistence options. It can actually save its data to disk. This means it can survive a restart and act as a proper, durable database, not just some temporary cache. And that, right there, fundamentally changes the entire conversation about what you can do with it. And that's actually the perfect lead-in to our next section, where we look at some of the advanced features that take Redis way, way beyond just basic caching. So check this out. Redis can act as a crazy fast message broker. This table here compares two of its messaging patterns. On one hand, you have pub/sub. This is great for fire and forget stuff, like real-time notifications in a chat app. You send a message and it's gone, no persistence. But then you have Redis streams. Now this is a much more heavy-duty option. It gives you message persistence, a full history, and even guaranteed delivery. That makes it perfect for serious work, like event sourcing or building durable message queues.
But here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you pick Redis or Memcached. Just slapping a cache in front of your database isn't a magic fix. There are some universal challenges, some really nasty pitfalls that you absolutely have to know about. So picture this. You've got your cache up and running, your app feels super snappy, everything's great. But what are the hidden dangers lurking just beneath the surface, the ones that could take your entire system down in flames? Okay, there are 3 major disasters you gotta watch out for. First, the cache stampede. This happens when a really popular piece of data expires, and suddenly, tons of requests all try to regenerate it at the exact same time. Bam, your database gets hammered. Then there's cache penetration. This is when you get a flood of requests for data that doesn't even exist. So every single one of those requests misses the cache and goes straight to the database. Not good. And the worst one, the cache avalanche. This is when your entire cache system just dies or restarts. Suddenly, all of your traffic slams into your database at once. Trust me, planning for these scenarios isn't optional. It's essential. Phew. Okay, we've covered a ton of ground, so let's bring it all home and give you a really clear way to make the final call. This little matrix here pretty much sums it all up. When should you use Memcached? For simple key-value string caching where you need every last drop of performance from your CPU cores and you value simplicity above all else. When do you use Redis? Well, for pretty much everything else. If you're caching complex objects, if you need your data to stick around, or if you want to tap into those awesome advanced features like queues, leaderboards, or transactions, you go with Redis. And you know what? If you're still on the fence, I want you to hear this quote from a super popular answer on Stack Overflow. It could not be more direct. It says, for anything new, use Redis. Redis is more powerful, more popular, and better supported than Memcached. Redis is better even where their features overlap. I mean, that's a pretty powerful statement, right? It's a huge vote of confidence for modern app development. And that really brings us to our final thought for the day, a question to leave you with. As our applications and the data they juggle get more and more complex, you have to ask yourself, is a simple cache ever truly enough anymore? It's a question that really cuts to the core of why Redis has become such a dominant force in the industry. Definitely something to chew on for your next project. Thanks so much for tuning in.